Turning now to Washington, where President Trump will deliver the first State of the Union address of his second term tonight. The president last outlined his agenda before a joint session of Congress about a year ago, but this speech was not officially considered a State of the Union. In beginning his remarks, he proclaimed, quote, "America is back."
I return to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is back, our spirit is back, our pride is back, our confidence is back, and the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before.
And CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cortez and CBS News Congressional Correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns both here to preview tonight's address. So let's start at the White House. Nancy, what are we now learning about the parents of a National Guard member who was killed in Washington, D.C., who will now attend tonight's State of the Union? What can you tell us about that?
Chanel, I can tell you that they will be seated in a place of honor tonight. They're at the invitation of the President of the United States. These are the parents of Sarah Beckstrom, who, if you recall, was a National Guard member, only 20 years old, who was killed as she was patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C., just one day before Thanksgiving. The suspect in that case was an Afghan national. President Trump went on to argue that his presence here in the United States was the result of lax vetting by the Biden administration, despite some pushback from his own Department of Justice on that. But nevertheless, it is a sign that the president not only wants to honor her service, but also wants to make a wider point about people who he believes are in this country either illegally or who never should have been admitted in the first place.
And so, Nancy, how are we expecting the president to defend his policies on key issues, including immigration and the economy tonight? Specifically, do we expect, with the members of the Associate and Chief Justice of the Supreme Court sitting right there front and center, that the president will attack them, even if it's in an offhand remark, which he often does when he goes off script, because he is angry at their ruling that his tariff policy was illegal?
Yeah, it's hard to see him avoiding that opportunity to make some kind of comment while they're sitting right there in front of him, right, Vlad? There are still a lot of things we don't know, however. We don't know if all the members of the Supreme Court are actually going to attend. We don't know how much he wants to get into his changing tariff policy in the wake of the setback that was dealt by the Supreme Court the other day. And we don't know whether the Supreme Court members, these justices, will react in any way. You'll recall on Friday he said that they're barely invited. Not exactly clear what that means, especially because it's generally not the president's job to invite or not invite officials in Washington, D.C. But certainly they got the message that they're not all that welcome by him this year. So I think that'll be one of the central dramas tonight.
All right, Nancy, thank you very much as always, my friend.
You're
We'll be
welcome.
watching.